All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us again on one of our training sessions. Today, we're going to be going through some contract preparation. So we've got an integration coming out for the HIA where we can seamlessly create a contract via the HIA's portal and automatically capture that detail back into Gyro as well. So today we're going to be focusing on just getting the information right prior to that stage. And it kind of follows on from a previous webinar that we've had about using the design portal and managing that sales process. So we carry on from just the end of that sales process where you're about to move forward and sign a contract with the client, getting that data prep ready in preparation for a contract being sent to a client. All right, so we're primarily using the Gyro desktop today to go through this, and I've just got our demo database here, just with a client here. And you first off need to start looking through and making sure you've got all of your details right. So you start off on the job details tab here, and we'll just make sure that we've got our contractual details correct and our contract price. And obviously our site address. So if all that's looking good, we'll just have a quick look at the task before we go into that in too much depth. Just a recap here. This is the design portal. So we're sort of coming at the stage where we're hoping the sales consultant's gone through, they've done a few design rounds with the designer, and they're just about to proceed to contract. And we have gone through this in detail in another webinar, so that's available to have a look into our knowledge library if you need to. So I'll just tick these boxes so we can get through this proceed to contract. Again, this is a point in time where you double check to make sure you've got the names of your clients correct here. And this is generally the salesperson in your business that would be confirming this. All right, so essentially what that has done is just popped in here, and it's popped in this task here, proceed to contract. It's just a bit of a note saying that the sales consultants acknowledge that they're ready to move forward with the contract. So what will happen then is we've got a few extra additional tasks that have popped in here. So contracts ordered with a due date. So generally in your system, you'd have a notification set up to notify the contract administrator on this job. It may be set up differently in your database, and you can change that if you need to. And the idea then is that the contract administrator would go through and make sure that everything's been agreed on between the sales consultant and the client is right. And we can just mark off this task here just to say that we're at that point, we're ordering the contracts, we're happy for it to move forward. So this is an administrative task from the contract administrator. All right, you get an opportunity to choose fast track or not. All right, and it's popped in a couple of extra tasks here. So while we're getting everything organized, we've got a designer in the background that's got a due date for the contract drawings to be completed. So obviously you can't complete a contract without that. And our contract sent tasks. So once we've completed all of the contract prep, we've got our HIA contract, it's at that point that we'd mark off this contract sent. So that'll be emailed off to the client, preferably via DocuSign. Once that's done, you'd mark that off. All right, so that was our tasks, and I'll quickly shoot back and we'll double check these job details again. So obviously we need to make sure the contractual name's right. I've actually found that this name isn't used so much in the HIA contracts, especially if they're just individual people, not a company, but do make sure that's as accurate as you can. We've got our job number. So obviously you want to make sure you've got a valid job number in your system. If you don't have one, you can generate one from here.
Ian, can I just pause you there? Shane's got his hand up. I think we might have an early question from Shane.
We do too. Okay, Shane, we can hear you.
Cheers, guys. I was just going to say that the order of that contracts ordered and contract drawings is probably a little bit about face. So the contracts ordered task is ticked after the contract administrator has finalized the Addendum A, which is done after the plans are complete. So proceed to contract gets done, the plans get done, and then the contract administrator takes the latest sales estimate and the latest set of plans compares the two, writes the Addendum A by inserting all of the relevant disclaimers, finalizes the Addendum A, confirms the final price with the salesperson, and then they tick contracts ordered.
Sure. Okay. Well, I might have described that a little bit wrong. Thank you for clearing that, Shane.
It's all good.
All right. So we do have those, obviously those tasks that Shane's just helped to clarify for us. Regardless of the order of those tasks, there's still this housekeeping that we need to look after here. So we've got our job number and a contractual name. We do have our contract price. Obviously, you want to make sure that's right as well. So you should have got that from your latest pricing from the iEstimate. Sorry, from your iProx. There's a few other things here, like the contractual period. So generally, this is working days. This is saying 36, and that's obviously not right. So we're probably looking at something, 240 working days. And this will change depending on what state that you're in. So some of them, like Queensland, for example, will be calendar days. And if you do have that, we've gone through this in depth in another session. And I think I've got an article here I was just reading. So in our knowledge library, we've got this article from a previous webinar, just about calculating the contract time. And at the bottom of this is a great little table explaining all the different calendar days and working days for each different state. So worthwhile reviewing that if you get the opportunity. So if you are using calendar days, there is a little quick tool just to help you calculate a few things. So if we pop in some working days, so I'll just show you that again. It's popped up indicating that the number of working days you've entered here is letting you know that it's passed through the industry shutdown period. So some of the contracts, you need to be aware that you're passing through that period and you need to make allowance for that in your contract. So you can't automatically claim it. You need to try and account for that in the number of days you're claiming here, or the number of days you're adding into your contract. So if we wanted to add 20 days on for that during the shutdown period, because we know it's passing through that stage, we can do that and it'll give us the calendar days. All right, so we've got our job types. So it's just worthwhile checking all of these details on here. Design types. Importantly, we need to make sure our site address is right. So if you've got the DP number, make sure you get that in. So all of this information is used in the HIA contract. All right, then we'll move on to the client contacts. All right, so in here, again, we need to make sure we've got all this detail specified. Generally, you'll need to have a primary contact here with at least an email address, but best if you could get all of the details for all of the owners in here as well. So all of this detail, mobile phone, email address, business phone is used in the HIA contract. All right, so you need to save as you go. Obviously, you need to make sure you fill out all of your details here. And once you've finished the first person, you click onto the next one and complete all of their details as well. All right, now another one is the progress payment schedule. So I'll have a look at the financial tab here. So again, this is used in the HIA contract, so we need to make sure we've got the right schedule in place here. You should have some templates pre-made for you, and you can make your own as well. So we click on that button there. You can create a new template from here and specify all of the tasks that are in the gyro system, and just making sure that they're relating to a progress claim that you're expecting. All right, so to apply a template, we'll just select one of these, elevated floor, for example. Apply that template. And it gives us the breakdown of our progress payments. So within the next couple of weeks, this is going to change. It will also have a description for these as well that we pulled across into the HIA contracts. We've noticed this is all zero amount, and that's because we haven't entered our contract price. So I'll come back to here. Save that, and that should update all of those. So there's our breakdown of our progress payments. And again, as we progress through the HI integration, that information will be pulled through to the contract. All right, and this is what Shane was indicating before, is that you need to create an addendum from your iProcs as well. So obviously you need to make sure that all this information is right. You're happy with what's being printed out in your sales estimate. And your contract addendum is pretty much the same thing. It's just missing a couple of items like the pricing, for example. So the best practice for that is to jump in here and find your estimate, or just create a copy of that to work on. All right, you'll see that in the description, it's got the word copy here. I've made it a copy of a copy. That's why it's got 2 words there. And you want to rename that. And the description is sort of an internal word for it. So you can type sort of whatever you need to in here. All right, we'll move over to the job workup. And in here, you should be pretty familiar with it about building an estimate, but we do need to add some additional things like the Addendum A terms and conditions. So I believe it's also important to go through each one of these items and make sure that the wording is right for you as well, because this Addendum A, once it's printed or into a PDF, will become part of the contract as well. All right, so we've got our Addendum A here. So I've just collapsed all of this master price list, found the Addendum A terms and conditions. So you can create your own in your own database as well by copying all of these standards. You can right click and copy those. Or if you're happy with how they are, you can just select the ones that apply to your job. So I've just shift clicked all of those. You could control click a few others and add them into your iProcs. So there's our Addendum A terms and conditions. You probably do want to make sure you read all through these, make sure they're relevant to you, and make any adjustments required. And we'll save that. All right, so the contract addendum button is similar to generating a sales estimate, but it's just stripping out some of those things that are unneeded in the addendum. All right, so that's the addendum that just got generated just now. I have noticed this, my demo database has got a picture of James up here. I have left that there just because it's useful to see that you can customize this as well. So if you'd like to try and spruce up the header of your estimates, you can do just like this. It's just a matter of getting the right graphic, and in the portal, or Gyro portal, in the admin section, you can upload that photo just to put it into here. All right, when you're finished, you would upload that into your contracts folder. So here it is here, named Addendum A. Now, also, once we get our HIA integration as well, we've got a new feature where you can automatically generate that addendum. It'll automatically be copied into this contracts folder for you. So there's no need to try and re-upload that. It'll also be named consistently as per this screenshot here. All right, so that sort of leads us up to that point where we could start introducing the HIA integration, which will be for our next webinar. But have we got any questions at this point? No, that's all good. So obviously to finalize the contract, we need a HIA contract, but there are also a host of other documents that go along with that as well. So we'll cover that in that next webinar, because we'll have a nice checklist that we can go through to make sure we've got everything in place while we're generating that contract. All right, we've got no questions there. That's all I've got for this afternoon. All right, well, thanks for joining everyone. We'll see you again next time.